What's up, YouTube? I want to respond to the young lady's video as to whether or not Black History Month is racist. But before I do, young lady, I want to let you know that you are one of the most beautiful and sexiest women that I ever seen in my life. You have one of the most beautiful and sexiest voices. I don't know whether that's a Southern accent or one of those Chicago accents, but you have a very beautiful voice, a very beautiful and seductive way about you. But, setting that aside, getting back to the question, is Black History Month racist? Black History Month is no more racist than Black Entertainment Television or BET. Black History Month is just highlighting the accomplishments of black people in history, as BET is just using black people to entertain people. But that does not mean that white people cannot be entertained with black characters or black actors, and it doesn't mean that white people cannot learn from the history that black people have. So whoever suggests the idea that Black History Month is racist is ignorant. And two, getting back to your statement about Black History Month came about as a result of the racist ideals that this country imposed on black people. And I agree with that, because one of our well-learned and respected I'm not going to just say black scholar, but world scholar, Dr. Henrik Clarke, who's a self-taught scholar. He's no longer with us. He passed away. But Dr. Henrik Clarke, as a young man growing up in Alabama, always pondered the question as to why there were no books readily available on black people or the accomplishment or the greatness that black people have, and the great history that black people have. And his mother, being a domestic worker, she used to work for this wealthy lawyer who basically had his own personal library. And Dr. Henrik Clarke would go to work with his mother, and Dr. Henrik Clarke went to this lawyer slash educator who was well educated and well read with many books in his personal library, and he asked the lawyer to recommend any books on the accomplishments that black people made in history. And the lawyer basically told him, well, I'm sorry, John, there are no books on the accomplishment that your people made, because your people haven't accomplished anything in history. So right then and there, Dr. Clarke realized that the man was gravely mistaken, or the man was just outright lying. So he set out a journey, and it was his destiny to learn everything he can about the greatness of African people, black people all over the world. And that's what he did. And then he migrated from Alabama up into New York City, and he met Schomburg. Schomburg is an educator, historian from who migrated from Puerto Rico, and he has African ancestry, and he set up a cultural center in Harlem in the early 30s, probably earlier than that, where he collected all kind of historical facts from all over the world about the history of Latino and black people. So Dr. Henrik Clarke went to Schomburg and asked Schomburg to teach him more about black history. And Schomburg told him, first go out and study world history. When you learn world history, you will find black history within world history. So, in a sense, Morgan Freeman is right when he says that you can't relegate black history to only 1 month, because black history is American history. In other words, black history is world history. So black history is not racist because it's something that took place in the world. So black history belongs to the whole world. It has its place along with the history of any other people. I'm 52 years old right now, and I went to grammar school during the 60s and the 70s. And the only people I knew, black people I knew about in history, were Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Cypress Attucks, whatever that guy's name is, who fought in the Revolutionary War. But those were the only three people that I knew about in black history. And then I really learned that black people had a history, but I didn't learn that in school. I learned that from the teachings of the Nation of Islam, when they taught how great of a history that black people had. And that was my first introduction into black history, when they taught some of the things, some of the simple things in black history that that they teach, like a black man inventing the refrigeration system, a black man inventing a traffic light, a black man doing the first open heart surgery, and you know, the black and how George Washington Carver, or not George Washington Carver, but the black man who was with Thomas Edison that invented the filament for the light bulb, and the black man inventing the cotton gin. You know, I learned simple things like that. So from the Nation of Islam, the teachings of the Nation of Islam, I began to understand that the black man did have a history, and that we have been lied to as a people. So no, black history is not racist, because we as a people been lied to. So now we must be told the truth. And Carter G. Woodson felt that way in 1926 when he set aside a month for black history. But it's not that we only get a month for black history, because it's gonna be up to black people to teach ours. It's gonna be up to us to teach ourselves our history, because we as black people in America have been an oppressed people, and your oppressor don't teach you, they won't teach you your history, because your history is what ties you to your greatness. So that's one of the ways they enslave you, by cutting you off from your history. So you can't expect your oppressor to teach your history. So when Carter G. Woodson came up with the ideal of Black History Month, it was a great accomplishment that he was even able to get 1 month, or even able to get that idea or that concept out there. And that was in 1926. But the things that he taught in 1926, or that Dr. Henry Clark was teaching about the greatness of black people, people didn't know these great things that we have accomplished even in 1970 or 1980, because I have never heard of this stuff. I mean, Dr. Henry Clark came to New York like in the 1930s, and he used to teach. I'm going by, I heard Dr. Henry Clark and Dr. Ben speak personally, and they said that they used to teach on 126th Street and Lenox Avenue, right where Sylvia's is now, where they have a there used to be a YMCA there. They used to teach, and they used to go out in the streets and try to get people to come up just to teach the greatness. They were teaching black history just to teach the greatness of black people. And when the people started coming, they used to pay people to come up. So this is how dedicated these guys were. They would pay people to listen to what they've learned, or what they had to say. Okay, I'm going to cut this video off here because I'm running out of time. I'm going to make a part 2. This is just part 1.